Thank you, Vice President Designate, for your comprehensive introduction and for your commitment as Commissioner over the past 5 years. Now, you have been entrusted with a portfolio that is a fundamental pillar of the European project. And we know that if we allow the rule of law to be threatened anywhere, then it risks collapsing everywhere. We have long called in this Parliament for a proper system of checks that allows for a mechanism that to review effectively practices in every member state. Will you commit concretely to having such a mechanism? And related to this is, of course, media freedom, as mentioned by President Tajani in his introduction. In the last years, we have seen Daphne Caruana Galizia and Jan Kuciak assassinated. Concretely, what can you do to ensure that journalists are protected not only from murder in the worst cases, but from constant harassment and vexatious lawsuits? Is it time for an EU-wide anti-SLAPP law?
Thank you very much, Madam Metsola, for your questions. And I will try to be as concrete as possible, but let me be a little bit personal at the beginning. You mentioned the murder of Daphne Caruana Galizia and Jan Kuciak. I met the family of Daphne in Malta. I met her mother, her father, I met her son. And I gave a promise to the mother that I will watch very closely how the investigation of the murder will be going on, because the family, the mother, is waiting for justice. And I made a promise to her son that I will do my best to protect better journalists in Europe, because he himself is a journalist. And these promises, believe me, are very strong commitments, and I am quite happy, if confirmed for this position, to be able to do more, to keep the promises and to guarantee better that there will be no murdered journalists in Europe. On rule of law and media freedom, these are two connected matters. Rule of law is the principle without which Europe would not work, function. As we all know, European Union is a, if I may say it like that, the ever-developing compromise of continental scope based on hundreds of agreements. And we are good at making compromises, but we have to be as well good in keeping something where we don't want to make compromises because we know it would be too dangerous. And it is the rule of law, it is the freedom guaranteed for all, it is the equality before the law. And this is how I take the rule of law principle, which we have to protect better. The lessons learned over this mandate showed to us that we took it for granted and that it requires more care, it requires continuous attention and continuous dialogue with the member states. Because if the rule of law fails in 1, 2 member states in the EU, then the whole judicial area and the whole rule of law area will be finished. On SLAPP, I will come back probably to rule of law, maybe through our other questions, but on SLAPP laws, suing journalists from defamation. This is a shameful story. I will be mapping all the possible situations of the abuse of litigations against the journalists. I will look into the possibility of coming with some proposals in the international private law, and we will be considering some aid, some legal aid or some funding for the journalists who suffer from such abuse of law. Just very shortly speaking. Thank you very much.
React. 1 minute and 1 minute more.
Something that Daphne Caruana Galizia had investigated before she was assassinated were cash for passport schemes. And we know that these schemes have no genuine link with member states or with Europe, so much so that this is their main selling point. And we know only too well the security gaps, the corruption, the money laundering and electoral manipulations that they create. The monetization of the rights enjoyed by EU citizens should not be what Europe is about. And our way should not be about giving open-door access to those who can afford the cash price set by the odd Prime Minister, more so when they leave the poor and the vulnerable out in the cold. So would you agree with me that it is time to ban these schemes?
I agree, this is the time to ban the schemes. But unfortunately, European Union cannot do this because we don't have the legal competence to take such a step. What we can do, and we did it already under my competence, we came with the proposal how to make the system, if the states want to keep them, more transparent and to give the member states more control over the process. So in principle, we said three things. There must be the genuine link clearly proven. It cannot be the case that somebody who has the money can buy one country's citizenship, because this is also buying the citizenship for the whole Europe. The countries are selling something which they don't own fully. The second thing, there must be much better due diligence control in these cases. We need to understand who are the people who want to buy the citizenship and what are their intentions, whether it's not dirty money and so on. We have the mechanisms. And then the third thing, we establish the working group, which should enable the member states to have it much better under control what's happening in this assessment. Thank you.